What's up, everyone? We're back. I'm back. Today I have a kind of a bit of different video. It's not me with a deck profile. It's actually my very good friend Aaron. Aaron, say hello.
Hello.
So today we were at Locus, and we thought it would be fun to just show a different type of content today and a different type of deck. A deck that normally I would basically never play. Yeah, Aaron, which deck is it?
Well, it's Cadenza.
And why do you like this deck so much?
Well, I mean, I would honestly never play this deck either. I'm not a big lyrical fan, so I started playing a little bit of lyrical when Michu came out, and again when Charmot came out. And after me and my team won BCF 2024 summer, I just got stuck with the cards. I just got more staples, and
Hmm.
now we're here. Tested this deck at locals and some days before, and it was pretty
Hmm.
crazy. So
Yeah, it was. It felt really strong, especially when I played against it. It felt like you were doing real good stuff with that deck.
yeah, no, this all of these cards are really custom.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just jump straight into deck profile.
All right. So the right line is pretty basic. I think you'll find this in any Krysrain deck. So one starter can be anything really. I like this one because I had it in hollow. I got the mermaid ride line over her own ride line. So this ride line is at best a +2. You can whiff with them. It's noticeable, and it has happened quite a bit. But they're pretty much better than the Krysrain ones. So that's why we play them. And for those that don't know, the grade 1 checks top 7 for a grade 2 after a Soul Blast when you ride over the grade 2. And the grade 2 when you ride over a Mermaid checks to top 5 for any grade 2 as well. Or higher, so you can get the purse on the rides. And then I play the main star, Cadenza. And as you see, we're like coming back to V days of like text boxes, going over all the art. Yeah, this card it's pretty busted. Most importantly, she's not. Her divine skill is locked to grade. You're pumping at grade 3, but she's not locked to be. Her other skill is not. So she gets like +10. She gives +15 to something. She gains a crit. You draw a card, gain energy. You basically do everything you want in a card game. Uh, so for the main deck normal units, I am going on with 3 Persona rides. Pretty standard for standard. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. You can search them with the ride line, which is pretty neat. So it's another hit with that. Otherwise, it's just Persona rides. And then for that's it for the grade 3s. Then we'll go into the grade 2s, which are the hard and soul of this deck. So we play 4 Franset. I guess this is most people will know what this card does by this point. It's like the best lyrical card printed for like the last year. Yeah, pretty busted card. Most noticeably is that she actually has an extra skill in this deck because she does. We actually use the second skill in this deck. She gives +10 to Krysrain when she's chosen by her skill, which comes up a lot. I don't think I've gone through a single game where I haven't done it. Next, we have the one of the most fucking custom cards I've read in my life. His name I actually don't know. Emphatic Prime Armili. Maybe grind your warning on that one. Basically, she is on place Soul Charge 1. If you have a grade 3 with Krysrain, give something +5, and then you may counterblast 1 to give herself +5 and draw a card. And she can give herself +5 with the first +5 skill, but you can choose anything with that one. Yeah, she's just. That is one of her skills, by the way. She also, if you played an order that turn, you can Energy Blast 3 to pick a grade 1 from your drop that's not a Sentinel and that you don't have on the board and call it.
So, question here then: do you play orders? I guess it's
I do play orders. I do play orders. I'll go into them. I mean, I can go into them now. It's also for one of the most custom orders I've ever read. Get your playsets while they're still cheap. High 5.
Yeah.
This card's really crazy. So what you can do, what this card does is just bind it from hand or drop to play it. CB1, draw 1 card. play a card from hand, that card gets +5 and gets the skill that when it would leave the rearguard circle, you choose a unit and give that unit +5. And you don't have to play Counterblast if you are on Krysrain or the other Divine Skill unit whose name I don't remember. But we don't care about that one. We're playing Krysrain. And this card's pretty good. You can discard it for Ride Deck or PGs, and then you can play it from drop. And it counts as playing it, so you get to trigger the skill. Yeah, very, very, very strong card. And then I also play for grade 2s, other grade 2s, another really dumb grade 2, which is this one. Yeah, this card's pretty great. So on place, you can Soul Blast 2, call a grade 1 from your deck that's not on the board, and give that unit +5. I think you need to be on Krysrain for this, otherwise we would be playing this in every deck, so most likely. But yeah, this card is great. Just tutor whatever you need, and it's really good on the Divine Skill turn because you just play her and then you play another card, and she also gets +5 when she attacks a grade 3, so you have like +10 extra plus the booster. It gets ridiculous. I think I most of the time hit for like 71 or 81 on my Divine Skill swing, which is it's pretty big. It asks for a perfect card most of the time. And then I also play an Ace unit. This is something I wasn't testing out initially. I was playing Energy Cyclers beforehand, but another one of our friends, Next Gen Hydra, was telling me about this, and it made a lot of sense. It works a lot like a searchable Juika. So you can search it with a ride line, and you can set up so you have like 2 attacking front row rearguards on turn 2 that then bounces themselves up, so your opponent can't attack them to counterblast deny you. Which it seemed pretty strong. It has been performing adequately. It's not amazing, but it's not bad at all.
And you're not playing Energy Cyclers now?
No, 0 Energy Cyclers. I think that when you're going first, you have 3 energy to spare, which then this card would eat up. And when you're going seconds, you would have then 6 energy to spare, so you would have energy to spare to play this and the Energy Cyclers. But I noticed that I never had Counterblast to spare, so going first, the Energy Cycler would just be a dead card. And most of the games I would get to this because you cycle so much through your grade 2s. And that's about it for the grade 2s. I guess I'll just put this in since we went through the orders. I do play this Regalis piece. It's not anything fancy. I really like it. You could play Fire Regalis over this card, but I decided not to because I felt like this deck was struggling in particular with defense in the early to mid game. Once you got to the late game, you would sit with like enormous hands, and you would do that in the early to mid game as well, but they would be like fake hands because 5 of those cards would just be like grade 1 or grade 2s that you have bounced. So you're actually sitting with like a 6-card hand. So having extra defensive measures felt just right. And you also search for your grade 2, so like you search for basically all of your pieces very efficiently in this deck. So I felt like there was a lot of diminishing returns in the Fire Regalis. And then for the grade 1s, I'm playing for Juika, best lyrical card ever printed. I think, I would need something like big for me to not play Juika. Like, I think, for example, Artisaria got this new custom grade 1 that does a similar job to Juika, and I still want to play Juika over her. It's insane. This card is ridiculous. It also has particularly good synergy with this deck because you have one card you get to choose with the new Krysrain, another card to bounce at the end phase when you do her first skill. And then just choosing this, making sure that you always have 0 cards in rear guard just makes a lot of your matchups a lot better. So I like Juika a lot. I hard mulligan for her most of the time because the best hands are usually when you can go Juika on turn 2 or turn 1, depending on if you go first or second, and just have anything in front of her, because that's like one of the strengths of the Lyrical Nation, just being able to aggro and then not getting punished for it, because all of your rear guards will be in hand afterwards. Then for the other good grade 1 in this deck, I am playing for Rochelle. This is the Drajul grade 1, but for Krysrain. So when I attack with my Vanguard, I get to Energy Blast 3, choose a card that has been chosen by Krysrain's skill, and stand that unit, draw a card. And yeah, this card is crazy. It has particularly good synergy with Franset because you can stand the Franset, and Franset's skills are not once per turn, neither the +5 or the bound skill. And the +5 in particular is actually until end of turn. So your Franset column just gets like +5 extra and for the second attack, and it hits really hard. I usually hit 43 to 48 on that column. And with the restand column of Rocheles. And yeah, this card's just amazing. Pricks X to doubt that you would play ever less than 4. And then I am playing a quite fun lineup of one-ups in the sense of like one of the carbuncles for Lyrical, Ephemer, I think her name is, and Reusius. I think this card is pretty common for most Lyrical decks. Pretty basic skill on plays, give +10 to a unit. Really strong with Krysrain, so your Krysrain gets bigger due to how the Divine skill works. Ephemer is a little bit of a interesting card. For locals, I wasn't playing Ephemer, I was playing 2 Reusius, but what I realized was that going first, Ephemer is just a better Reusius, because you would usually just give the +5 to Vanguard anyway, and then the column would be as big as it would be if I had Reusius behind Vanguard, which it also would be called at. But Ephemer has the added value of when she is bounced, I get to put a different card from my hand into Soul and draw one. So she helps me a little bit with the fake hand issue I was alluding to earlier. And then this card is also really neat because she is searchable through the grade 2. And what I have been doing a lot is I would go call her with the Divine skill, for example, and then call this behind her. And then I would bounce this with my second, whatever she's called, Franset. I would bounce her with the Franset skill. So I would just search a 20k shield, which is very nice. It also comes, her other skills also comes up. So for those that don't know, her unique skill, I guess, though that's a keyword by itself, I guess now. But the thing that makes her the Lyrical Carbuncle and not every other Carbuncle is that you can return to the right deck to add a card with the same name as your Vanguard back from drop or soul to hand. And I would use this skill like a fair amount, just because it wouldn't be very rare for me to have like all 4 of the right deck cards in drop. And then I would be able to just add back the Krysrain from the right deck, then PG to get rid of it if I needed to use this one skill. But if not, I would just have another Persona ride.
Just a question here. How does it feel with the 3 one-offs? Does it feel like... Do you mind not seeing these cards here?
I don't particularly mind. I think this one is the biggest detriment if you would get her into the damage. And that's mostly because it's their only real one-off, I guess. Because both Ephemer and Reusius does very similar things. So if one is in damage, I could just fetch the other one. It's just that I feel like Reusius is slightly better going second, because going second, I would like to go sometimes for the Divine skill right away on my turn 3, especially if I feel like, okay, I need to push now or kill him now. Whereas, and then I want the +5 extra, not on my rear guard, but on my Vanguard, because of how the Divine skill works. But the Ephemer would be slightly better going first. But they're both very similar cards. They don't affect that much of my game plan. It would just be that my Divine skill unit would be 5k less power, which is not that big of a deal. And I would still get to cycle 1 with this. I get, but this card is like, if I damage this, it's basically gone. Sometimes I will heal it away, and I can just revive it with the new girl, her. So I sometimes would just revive her behind my Vanguard. Yeah, I had to double check. So I have not been goofing around. No, I would just revive her behind my Vanguard, and it would just be I would add a 20k shield later in the combo. Of course, that would mean that I have all the other grade 1 pieces in hand to call out. So it's not like super reliable. but basically it's the only one-off, really, because these two are basically the same card, just that they're slightly better in different situations. And then I think it's like fine. It's not the end of the world if you damage check this. And that's it for the, I guess, non. That's the unique part of the deck. Yeah. And then I guess I'll go quickly through this part because it's kind of standard. Big disclaimer: the perfect card lineup is, I think, wrong, but I don't have access to the fourth perfect card, I guess, because I'm playing 3 perfect cards and 1 Elementaria Sanctitude. This should be 4 perfect cards, but I couldn't find a fourth one with a different name. And in hindsight, I should have just played like one with the same name, but I forgot them at home. But it's very important that these are playable from hand, because it's not uncommon for you to call down something behind your Vanguard that's just a 5k. I mean, this is 6k, but it's essentially the same. You just want the booster sometimes, and you will bounce them anyway back up to hand, so it doesn't matter which card you call. But sometimes it needs to be the perfect card, and that's why I feel like I would have probably preferred this to be a perfect card. It doesn't really come up that it's a guard restrict blocker anymore, and the triple drive effect, like, it comes up versus Drayul versus prison. It's actually way more important that this is a unit, so I can just put them into prison and call them and then bounce them back. So this card is actually actually bad against prison.
I would guess Elementary is only good against Heart Lure because they have the
yeah, Heart Lure as well. Yeah,
right.
It's good. It's good versus Heart Lure. It's like, it's pretty okay versus Drajuled. Like any triple drive deck, really, it's obviously okay against. But I think it comes up more that these are boosters.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the trigger lineup, I'm just playing standard 4 heals. I'm not playing the counter heals / effect heals. Once again, it's just because of the boost. I want the 5k booster for magic numbers, but you could play the restand one. I think that one's pretty good right now. But since it really depends on the meta, and I hate that word, or not that word, but I hate that conclusion because it's pretty inconclusive. But right now, I felt like also that I'm playing a local, so I can't really. We don't have really a defined meta. People are gonna play what they want to play. So, but for a BCS, I would probably play at least some copies of the restand heal. The one that gets plus 15 extra if you're guarding against a restanded unit, because I think that one is, there's like no deck that's relevant that doesn't restand their units at the moment. Then I am playing 8 crits. It should just be 8 crits with different names. I think I have one with, I have 2 of the same because I couldn't find enough crits, but they should just all have different names. It's very marginal. It doesn't matter most of the time. This is more than enough, but if you want to be super optimal, it should be different names, all of them. And these one I'm pretty sold on not playing the soul crit, because that card is like pretty bad. The 5k boost actually comes up so much. The crits are by far my most called crit trigger. So
and you don't really need the soul, right?
Yeah, no, because this card soul charges when she's called. Regardless, you cannot soul charge with her the moment she comes out on turn 2. She doesn't need Krysrain to soul charge. So you have so much soul recursion in this deck. And then I am playing 3 fronts. Fronts are pretty good. You draw a lot of cards in this deck, so you don't necessarily need to play draw triggers. I prefer the 20k shield over the soul front for the same reason as soul crits. Basically, you don't need the extra soul. It's very unnecessary.
And the attack patterns let you get the full front value as well.
Basically, I guess the front value, the attack pattern isn't like perfect for front because you only have 2 you only have 1 standing rearguard with the attack pattern of this deck. But I feel like it technically becomes 2 standing because the power you get on your Vanguard is going to go to Divine Skilled Out unit as well. Mm-hmm. So it does actually it does work like a traditional front, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, it definitely, I have been noticing the 20k shield more than I've noticed the loss of draw, because you your problem isn't getting your pieces. Your problem is surviving with this deck, I would say. Because most of the time you will sit with a 11 card hand, but 6 of them are like pieces. And then I'm playing blue OT. I think this could potentially be red OT as well, because severe attack pattern, you always have you're always attacking with 2 rear guards before you attack with your Vanguard. So it's a lot of the time they will be at 5 damage. And then I like the red OT because that forces out 2 PGs. With that being said, I really like the idea of playing the 9th crit because of your divine skill. So being able to just give the extra crit to your Vanguard is it has come up. Being able to just swing for game with a rear guard that hits were way too big to guard with normal cards, and they already used maybe their last PG on your Vanguard. So I've been liking this one. You could definitely play the red one. I wouldn't recommend anything else but those 2, though. I don't particularly... You can make a case for the purple one because, well, like we said, the deck's problem is surviving sometimes. But I feel like when you're checking an OT, and this deck doesn't particularly grind that well, it does have a decent resource loop. That's not, a major problem. But I feel like you don't have... You don't plus enough to keep up with, a steady grind game. So I would rather, if I OT, I would rather win than try to buy myself an extra turn and then lose. But it depends on matchups, really. Some matchups you can actually grind out. And yeah, that's it for the deck.
Since you mentioned matchups, what were your today's matchup?
All right. And so I played versus 2 prisons, one in the final. I played versus a cross overdress, and oh god, I can't remember. I remember it was one of the games I won on turn 3, so that's why it didn't leave. I felt bad.
It went by quick.
Yeah, it went really quick. They didn't get to do what they wanted to do. He was playing Liel, and he didn't get to do any skill, I think, that game. He got to activate his ride deck skills. He got to use a dog and a ride deck skill. That was it. And then he died. I mean, he was a good sport about it, at least. We protested and everything afterwards. But it was damn, bro. He didn't sit any 15k shields in his hand.
Can you go a little bit more in depth about the other games? For example, like Prison?
Yeah, sure. So one of the prison games was the same. He died immediately. The other prison game was pretty hyped, though. I think we were playing for 30-something minutes. We forgot to put on a timer last round. So what happens usually in the prison matchup, and I think this is why this matchup is so good, is that when you discard or guard with cards, those cards go to drop, right? And prison has a lot of cards that put cards from drop into the prison. And the fun thing is, we can bounce those cards, right? So whenever I use an OT from hand, or I use a PG, they'll tell me to put a card from my drop into the prison. I'll put one of those in, and then I'll put one of those behind my Vanguard, and then I'll bounce them. So I was recurring my resources quite well. Another good thing is that you can very easily set up so that you have 0 souls and 0 rear guards on the board. I think this is actually the most important part of this matchup, because that makes it so it's very hard for them to hit 10 prison. And that makes it so that, well, first of all, they don't have any extra crit pressure. They can't really go for that crit out game plan versus you. And they sometimes even struggle getting the plus 15 against me. So it's pretty strong versus prison, I'd say. I mean, they're still ripping 2 cards out of your hand, but you can also just put cards you would call anyway. Other than that, the Virina matchup or crossover dress matchup was also, I think they got to grade 3 at least. No, they were the one that didn't get to grade 2. I think Armand, the other prison player, got to grade 3, but he didn't get to do anything really because I had never had any rear cards. So that's also a thing to mention with this deck. This deck goes first really, really well because there's no lock on this deck. There's stuff that's locked to you being on grade 3, but there's very little stuff that's locked to your opponent being on grade 3. I think the only thing that's locked is the plus 5k from Yuika, the plus 10k from Octavia / 5k, the plus 5k from this one. But it's only yeah, it's the divine skill on these, and most of it's just power modulations. and you're hitting hard enough for them being at grade 2 anyway. So it's more like you get to swing at them for really hard, really quick, because your Vanguard's going to be swinging for like 31 with an extra crit directly, like when they're on grade 2. So they better sit a PG.
Yeah, exactly.
And your rear guards are also going to be swinging for like 28 and 30 is my normal pattern. I can show you the pattern quick. So generally, the ideal attack pattern this deck has.
I could take this time to mention that when we playtest as well, you hit hard, like very hard, on your grade 2 turns as well.
Yeah. Because it's like, this is going to be your board, both on grade 2 and grade 1 most of the time. And so how you do with this is usually this is going to get, I've usually put like plus 10 on this column to make it front to guard or not. So it's usually going to be like 28. Then this one has gotten plus 15 from Krysrain skills, so it's going to be 30. And then you're going to bounce this. And if you played the order, that's plus 5 extra to Krysrain. And she has plus 10 from Franset, so she's like 28 to 23 by herself. And this is, let's say we have the worst case scenario, we have a trigger here. We're going to have like this, so this is usually going to be like 28 at worst. Then you're on attack, going to trigger this. You're going to stand the Franset, and you're going to be and then you're going to be swinging with this, and this is usually going to be 43 because she got plus 5 attack again from attacking, right? So she's 35 by herself with an AK booster, so that's 43. And then you're going to bounce this after the attack. You're going to trigger Yuika, bounce her, and then you're going to bounce this at the end phase because you chose that skill on her. So then you have no cards on rearguard, and you have like all your important pieces in hand. And yeah, you also swung for like very much for your opponent being at the grade 3.
So the game plan most of the time, of course depending on matchup, but it's gonna be try and aggro early and then go hard.
Yeah,
grade 3, right?
Because you can do the same thing from here, right? You can't do all of the plus 5s and shit like that, but you're gonna have like something like this maybe on your turn 2. So you're gonna be swinging with her, swing at her with her, then swing with her, bounce this with Yuika. So you're gonna be swinging 3 attacks. One is gonna be like for 23, and you're not gonna have any rearguards they can swing at to counterblast Nayo. So they either gotta pass, and then they go -1, right? Because they didn't get the drive check, or they're gonna have to like let you get more CB, which is gonna make you be able to do more stuff.
How does a deck feel going second compared to going first?
Definitely worse going second than first. I mean, that's probably the case for like every deck that's not a Stride deck, or Virgilla, I guess, or I guess Minerva now as well. She's pretty fast, from what I've seen. But basically, one of the perks of going second is being able to use your divine skill. But the problem is, you want your Vanguard to be as big as possible when you do the divine skill, because the unit you call with the divine skill is going to have the exact same stats as your Vanguard, right? And the problem with that is that it's like a struggle to get your Vanguard higher than like 38, and that's guardable with 2 cards. That's not PGs, so it doesn't feel great to do divine skill there. Sometimes you have to, but I would say it's definitely worse going second. You do have some cute stuff you can do going second, of course, because Yuika is live on turn 1, so you can just go like right up, call like a trigger, and this is like a pretty threatening column distribution, because when I swing it with this, they want to guard this with a 15k shield, because if I get a trigger, this is going to be 23, and they can't guard that with a trigger. So it's going to be like, they can't guard that with a 15k shield, is what I mean. So it's going to be they're going to be prompted to guard this, and then you're going to be swinging this for 13, and you got a free card. And then you just obviously bounce this up to hand with Eureka skill. So I would say it does have some tools it can use going second, but it's not as good as going first. Going first with this deck, I think it's like actually tier 1, and then going second, it's like at maybe tier 2 deck.
I guess like my final most important question would be, would you play this in an official BCS event?
Right now, I would definitely play this. I think this card is. I think this deck is pretty. It has a good. It's a good metaphor, right? Because right now, a lot of people are hyping up Prison in particular, and I think this deck's Prison matchup is very favored. I think that if you go first versus person, you can't lose. I mean, you can always lose because of over triggers. Thank you, Bushy. But you can't lose otherwise, I think. My prison opponents today, it wasn't that important versus Marcus because I did heal to negate the triple crit. I got triple critted in the finals, but I healed, so I didn't die, and then he died. But then we entered grind game, and you don't lose the grind game versus prison. But Armon double critted me, and it's still like it didn't matter. Like this deck just stomps prison. I feel like, but I feel like that definitely comes true. Like if this deck can definitely grind out prison, which a lot of decks can't do. It's one of the few matchups I think this deck actually can grind out. That being said, I don't know how good because I haven't playtested this deck. I've playtested this deck quite a bit, but only versus specific matchups, and I haven't playtested it much versus Part Luru because I'm not going to a BCS, right? So I feel like that matchup could be a little bit more tricky because that deck just might be able to grind you out. I also feel like Minerva might be a problem because that deck has so much burst damage, and like we said, right, we don't have a good early to mid game, so it might be able to just burst you down. Virgilla felt similar. It felt playable at least. It felt a lot more even than I thought it would be. But I also feel like that deck is just it has a better resource loop, so you kind of lose versus it in the end. So I would pick it now, but I would like the moment people stop playing Prison, I would maybe reconsider picking this deck because I feel like the other matchups are more die rolly. You have to like go first to win those matchups, probably consistently at least.
All right. Any other final thoughts you have that you want to share with the rest of the world watching this?
Shout outs to Nils, fantastic player.
Oh my god.
How did you prepare for this particular tournament?
I have to owe it to my friends or the people at my locals, especially Stefan and Aron. They are exceptional players. Stefan finished 15th, I think, this BRO, and Aron came top 8 last one. So they're phenomenal players, and they really helped me with the matchups and the fundamentals of the game.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Aron, for being here.
Thank you for having me. And if you guys have any thoughts about the list or like think I'm doing something wrong or if I'm wrong about a skill, stuff like that, please comment. So we all learn.
Yeah, of course. And we're also gonna have the Decklog for the deck in the description down below, so you guys can go in and check the skills for like if you're not familiar with any cards and all that good stuff. Lastly, finally, remember to like, subscribe, share this video with all your lyrical fans. And yeah, just thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye!
Oh my god. Så tog du lägga den också.
Ja, det var ju väl bra.
That's funny. Hilarious.